Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right, good evening and welcome to WSBI, your Resource for Success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, and welcome to another night of sharing. With us, we have Kristen Karma. Kristen Karma's music career has already blossomed in the pop dance scene in her hometown of Vancouver. Now located in Toronto, Kristen Karma is no stranger to the ever-growing music industry. Karma not only wields a certificate in audio engineering from Hot Soul Music, but has studied voice with Judith Rabinovitch, who has worked with the likes of Avril, Lavigne, and McLachlan. In 2013 and 2017, Kristen Karma was selected to perform for Lady Gaga on 2 different after-party tours. She worked with lil'Jon on her single Sirens, and in 2017, she opened for Grammy Award Winner Akon. But in 2019, Kristen had several songs that reached the iTunes Canada Pop Chart 20, 30, 40, and 100 all genres chart. The single Dear John, dedicated to the memory of her father, resurfaced this year and made it to number 1 on the iTunes Pop Charts in South Africa. Karma continues to wow audiences with her energetic live performances, and she does it all with a neon pink microphone in hand. So without further ado, help me welcome to my platform, Kristen Karma. Hey, Kristen.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Well, you're welcome, and it's my pleasure. I'm excited to have you on. You know, as I always say, we were talking in the green room and just trying to chat it up a little bit, but trying not to get too much into this interview before we actually had the interview. So I'm excited to have you on, and I'm excited to hear about you as a whole and what you've been up to through all this pandemic stuff that we've had going on, and just, you know, to get to know you. And the listeners are absolutely going to be excited to get to know you, because the people you have worked with in the past here in the last couple of years have been amazing. So we're going to dive into that. But before we get into that, Kristen, why don't you just tell my listeners a little bit more about who Kristen Karma is?
Yeah, so I am a pop artist from Canada. I got my roots starting on the West Coast in Vancouver, BC. Started learning the piano, the saxophone, joined a marching band, and, decided to pursue music all the way, and, went to school for audio engineering and then started writing, and, here we are. I'm a singer-songwriter, and it just, yeah.
Yeah, it just all just flowed, right? So here we are. So you started, when did you really started getting involved and really had an interest in singing?
That probably wasn't until about 2008, 2009. Mm-hmm. I decided I wanted to, join a band and sort of get out there, and I kind of was auditioning in Vancouver for a bunch of acts, and, I found a band and we were co-writing, but it was more, he was the lyricist, and, he'd kind of put a guitar track together, and I would take that and write a full arrangement, and I was just arranging all these songs and making it into pop punk and pop rock, and eventually, I took over the writing, and I was doing everything. And, mm-hmm. I just decided that, hey, why not try and do this myself, and take it more seriously. And, that's what I did. I just kind of started writing a song, found a producer. We went to the studio together. We turned out, a pretty good alternative pop song. And I just decided to, keep going and keep writing, and released my EP, and just really started to hustle from there. So it's been about 2009 since I've started to take it more seriously on a professional level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like you said, that here it is, you've been doing all this work for somebody else, and all of a sudden that light bulb went off, didn't it? You said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm making this person look real good and sound real good, and why am I not doing this for myself? I think we all have those light bulb moments, but prior to all of that, obviously you weren't doing this as a living, and, you didn't, like I said, take it as seriously. So, mm-hmm. Let's back up, I guess, some years here. is anybody else in your family that's an artist, or is there any other influence prior to all of that, to jumping into music at all?
No. I mean, my dad, he really had no sense of rhythm. It was all over the place. And, my mom played a little bit of guitar and could, sing a little bit, but it wasn't anything that was taken seriously. It was, yeah, my family was, everybody tried to learn an instrument here and there, but nobody really took it seriously. And I've just had a love for performing and a love for the stage. And, when I was younger, I was doing ballet, and the best thing about that was that at the end of the year, you put this big production on, and you got to be on stage, you got to dance. Same thing with, when I joined the Air Cadet program and I was in a marching band. I really looked forward to performing in those parades, performing in the competitions, like getting up there and just doing a solo, or, same thing in school in jazz band, doing the solos, like I liked the attention that was giving me. And, I just got such a rush from it. So, when I decided to take it seriously, it was like a no-brainer to me. It was so comfortable just to do that. And in the beginning, I really didn't know. I thought I'd be behind the scenes, kind of working with artists, engineering their records and stuff. But I just found that my love for the stage was much stronger than being behind the scenes. So I just decided to go for it and step out of my shell and really, just give it a good shot.
So, but, with you having that opportunity of having some of that background experience, like you said, you got into the audio engineering side of it, you're already writing. How has that helped you to elevate your career, because you kind of know that background scene versus somebody who's just fresh off of the street and basically who can just sing? They don't have that background. How has that helped you catapult your career?
Yeah, I'm able to pinpoint exactly what I want to hear, how things should sound. I know how to manipulate sounds, and it took me a long time to, I was working with different producers, different teams, and sometimes they don't like an artist to be so hands-on and so involved in the music. But I mean, I'm working with the producer now, and he just gets my vision. I'll come in, I'll have a demo, done up in GarageBand or Pro Tools or whatever the case is, and I'll have a basic drum beat and a basic guitar and a basic piano, and if I don't know how to play an instrument, I will play it on the keyboard, or I'll type it in as you can in GarageBand and modify it and say, this is what I'm aiming for, this kind of sound. And so when he kind of transforms it for me and goes in, he's like, what do you think? Like, I want to sing it this way, or take out this breath, or let's change this. And it's very, like, I could pinpoint exactly what I'm looking for and what it should sound like. And, I'm co-producing the singles right now. So, it's just knowing what I want. There's a lot of artists out there that don't. They kind of get in the studio and they kind of get the producer kind of modifies and tells them and molds them into what they think that artist should sound like. But for me, it's I stand my ground. I know what I want, and that's really important in this industry, is to know what kind of artist you want to be and just kind of stick with it.
Right. I agree with that statement, because when you hear a lot of other artists, they come out hot and, they're great. And then all of a sudden they, get down that path of success. And then it's like, you know what, I'm not doing what I want to do. I'm doing what everybody wants me to do. And then, it, sometimes it becomes a big blow up because they weren't able to be who they needed to be. And now it's like they're starting all over again. And with you are starting from the ground level, but you have a complete understanding of how this portion of the music industry should work for you. And then obviously you're still learning some of the other things that come with that, because they're, in this business, nobody can do it all on their own. Right. So yeah. So I think that's amazing how you have got that background. But I want to talk and dive into some of the amazing artists that you have had the opportunity to either work with or you have been able to perform after. I was looking at your bio and I was just like, wow, I've seen all these people on TV. So, like, these are some of my favorite artists. So I'm like, talk about this experience. I mean, first of all, you've been able to study with Judith Rabinovitch, and she's worked with some amazing music artists. So talk about some of that experience there.
Yeah, I was in Vancouver, and I was looking for a vocal coach, and she came highly recommended. A lot of artists were using her, and I kind of, sat down, went through a session with her. And, it wasn't the first time I've seen several different vocal coaches, but there's some you just don't connect with. Mm-hmm. And I really connected with her. She really helped me from, the first 5 minutes in the session. She gave me a lot of pointers, and it wasn't like, I'm giving you this and I expect you to continue with me. She's very honest, very raw, very, down to the details. And it was just, this was the vocal coach for me. Mm-hmm. And, I just went, a couple times a week, for a long period of time. And just, she's really, really helped me. And it's been a little bit since I've seen her, but I mean, she's definitely one of the top in Vancouver for sure.
Wow. Well, and I guess I'm sitting here thinking that, a lot of us think we can sing. So, you get in the shower, you think you can sing, you're in your car, you think you can sing. But what is it that, a vocal coach, what do they look for? And what is it that they taught you, or what she taught you, to really help you stand out and to really be that singer that you needed to be?
Yeah, when I started, I was very breathy, I was out of breath all the time singing. I couldn't reach, higher notes or really low notes. She's kind of expanded my range, gave me tips on, how to go through the head voice, chest voice, just different techniques, how to warm up properly, what I should be doing with my voice. Just a lot of pointers. And then, we'd work on certain songs that I was singing, and I was performing, and I'd say, hey, I start my set with this song, and every time, by the time I get to the chorus, the first chorus, I'm out of breath and I just can't sing, or I feel like I'm pushing myself too hard. And she would just point out different things and how to fix that. And with that, it's really, really helped, as long as you practice and you come when you work on it, and it's just made me a stronger vocalist overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's important to know, because like I said, there's a lot of people who obviously believe that they can sing, and then when it gets to the real thing, it is a lot different. When you decide that you want to take this seriously, it's not just singing in the shower or in your car, and you're looking at this as a career. You definitely want to be on point. So after all the training, and you've worked really hard, and you started performing, like I said, you wrote your music, you started performing, and you performed after Lady Gaga on 2 different tours. Talk about that experience.
Yeah, I knew the gentleman who was putting on the first after party for the Born This Way ball, and he usually puts on these big events in Vancouver. The artists show up, the opening bands, the dancers, everything. And for Lady Gaga, he had done her first tour's after party, and he was doing it again. And he had this massive fashion show, fashion designers, DJ Lady Starlight, which is her opener, was opening was closing the night, was DJing at the end. And they didn't have any performers yet. So I reached out and was like, hey, I love Lady Gaga. She's such a huge influence on my music, and I really want to play it. And he kind of was like, we're not having any performers. This is a really tight night, right? Mm-hmm. And I just kept, I just hustled and just kept, messaging him and calling him and getting his attention. He's like, okay, you know what? You can open the night. That's fine. And so it was, after a certain while, he's seen what I'm capable of. He's been to a show of mine, and, so it was really cool to open the night for that. And then, back in 2017, she was coming through with her Joanne World Tour. Mm-hmm. And, again, I was like, oh, hey, are you having any performers? He's like, no, but you know what? You were such a great performer. You can definitely, perform at this one. So it was really cool. It was the only band there. I performed a short set. Really, really cool people there. And yeah, no, it was just a really cool overnight to be associated with, her and her after parties and everything. Very, very cool opportunity.
Yeah. And that persistence paid off, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you want anything, you just got to go after it. And
exactly.
What's the worst they're going to say is no.
Right.
And you have to learn how to take that. Right. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not going anywhere. put me in your show. Like, yeah, I know what I want. So
exactly. And you know, and that's what you just said is the key words is that, you know, there's always going to be those no's, but at the end of the day, if you don't keep trying and you don't believe in yourself, then how can you be a success at anything that you're doing, right? But you had enough volume and power to say, you know what, you're going to put me on this show, whether you want a singer or not, I'm coming. So.
Exactly. I was like, I will fly from Toronto to Vancouver with my gear, and I will get a band. And he's like, you know, it's only X amount of songs. I'm like, that's okay. You know, it's only Lady Gaga. Like,
right. Exactly. It's like, to him, it's like, oh, you know, it's just somebody I have to deal with. But to you, I mean, it's a huge opportunity because that opportunity led into another one. And then you obviously had another opportunity. So here, you know, after going through all that and maybe having some other songs, you had another opportunity to now work with lil'Jon on your own song. And of all people, lil'Jon, right? So you definitely got to tell us about that.
Yeah. So it was set up through a team I was working with, and they had worked with lil'Jon before, and so they kind of set it up. I didn't actually get to meet him, but he recorded a few things, and I know I think it was in Atlanta, and you know I was in Toronto, so it didn't work like that. But I mean, it's still pretty cool to have him on a song.
Well, absolutely, yeah. I mean, just for him to even say yes, you know, to be a part of something that's new and fresh for you, that definitely puts a stamp on everything, and obviously gets more people to look at you. And then again, you had other opportunities. You had the opportunity to open up for award winner Akon, you know, which most of us know who that is. And so these opportunities keep popping up, and they keep popping up. You know, there's something about you that people love to hear. And what do you think that is, besides you holding on to that amazing neon pink microphone when you're up on that floor, you know, and you're out on that stage doing your thing? What is it that people love so much about you? Because your opportunities in that short period of time have been amazing that most people wouldn't be able to get in within years of being into this world of entertainment.
Yeah, it's honestly just, you know, hustling and just never giving up on yourself and believing that you can do it and succeed. I mean, my music, even, you know, it's pop music, but it's got a little bit of everything. It's got a little, you know, dance beats. It's got wicked guitar solos. It's got pop melodies, and it's not the bubblegum pop you hear on the radio. It's going to stick with you. And, you know, I always have, you know, kind of a message in my song about, you know, self-confidence, believing in yourself, you know, it's always something positive. And even if it's a sad song, I always have, it's upbeat, because I've got some slower songs, but I mean, when you listen to it, I want you to feel that you're empowered or that you can get through anything. And so that's why I have it like that. And it's, you know, people just like the music, and they like, you know, what I stand for, and they like, you know, my shows are full of energy, and it's just a good time all around. It's just, you know, someone they want to come see and listen to the music and have a good time.
Exactly. And somebody that people want to hear consistently. And, you know, for those who can't always make it to your shows or either can't afford it, but they can listen to you on iTunes or other radio platforms, that's the most important part. So you definitely have that something. And, you know, I can't wait for later on in the show when I play your music. But I want to talk a little bit, and I want to hear the story about your father, because one of your major singles that you wrote back in 2019 was the song called Dear John, and it's dedicated to your father. So can you give us a little bit of story and background on your dad?
Yeah, so I actually wrote the song with my best friend, and she's also an upcoming artist, and we kind of just sat down, and my dad had passed away 2 years at that time. He had 2 forms of lymphoma cancer, and, you know, within 5 months he had passed. And, you know, I just needed a song to write to kind of, you know, deal with it. And my friend, her brother had passed away 10 years from a different situation. And I said, you know what, maybe this is the way to cope, and let's write something. So we got together, you know, within 10 minutes we had a song written. And I was like, actually, this is not this is not bad at all. Let's go into the studio and see how far we can get with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went to the studio, and, you know, pretty instantly we had, you know, a single on our hands, and I was like, no, you know what? This is actually way better than I thought. Let's get a video done. So we went and shot a video for it, and the response has just been overwhelming. I mean, we just sat there thinking this is the way that we're going to cope with both of their deaths.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, oh, let's write a killer single, let's write whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, everything is personal, and it's just about, you know, when somebody passes, you wonder, are they watching down on you? Are they seeing what you're doing? Are they part of what you're doing? You know, you never know. These are questions that a lot of people ask, right? And it's just about just wondering, you know, all of those things. And I know my dad's proud of me, and I know her brother's proud of her, and it's just a way to kind of to deal with that. And I'm so impressed, and I'm so proud of how far the single has gotten. And just the amount of awards and everything it's been insane. But yeah, I'm really excited for it.
Well, yeah, and you definitely should be proud and pat yourself on the back, and then your best friend who also helped you on this single. When you think about it, and I was listening to what you were saying about how we question, you know, what's happening or what are they thinking, you know, now that they're gone. And, you know, here in 2020, there's been a lot of that, you know, a lot of people who have lost loved ones. My family, we've lost loved ones, and, you know, with the pandemic and this COVID stuff. So it's just been, you know, one of those years. And then when you have a song like that, and even though this song was written in 2019, it's resurfaced again this year, and here it made, you know, number one. And, you know, it's that symbolism of, like you said, having to just sit back and be able to handle the that grieving process that you go through, and just wondering, what are you thinking now that you're not here? You know, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? So to have that resurface now in 2020, it's almost like it was meant to be, for that song to be able to soothe and to heal other people who are going through what you've been through, just here, you know, recently. I mean, a couple of years is not that long ago. So I'm sorry for your loss, but, you know, like you said, the way that you needed that moment just to be able to grieve, and you grieved in a way where you shared your story with everybody else, and now you're helping other people do the same thing.
Exactly. And most of my songs are based like that. You know, my mother is going through cancer treatment for the third time now, and I wrote her a song for the first time when she was diagnosed in 2013 called Believe. And she was having a really hard time believing that she was going to make it through, because, you know, the doctors didn't give her high enough percentage of success rate. And, you know, that was my thing. That I want to help you. How can I help you? So I wrote the song called Believe, and, you know, it did well as well. And, you know, that's going back to, you know, the message and why people like my music is because there's always something in there about, you know, you can get through this, and, you know, it's all positive messages and, you know, life experiences, and, you know, it's very relatable music.
Well, and that's a beautiful thing about music. It hits all people, no matter what you look like, you know, all genders. And that's, you know, it brings you together, you know. And so when you have someone like you who's, you know, new into the business, but not, I mean, obviously you still have been in here for quite some time, but you really focus on the purpose, not just the why, and not just the doing. Exactly. And I think that's the most important part about your music. So I just want to talk a little bit more about what are you doing now? I mean, you know, the 2020, like I said, has been a crazy year. What have you done during the pandemic? Are you writing more music? Have you done any more appearances?
Yeah, it's been really sitting back and taking the time to write, and, you know, just really focus on you know, the songs that I was in the studio with, you know, they've had to take a delay, and I'm just finishing up a couple of new songs now, but it's more writing and helping other artists co-write, and just kind of, you know, working on my craft and going through experiences. And it's been a tough time for everybody. But I mean, you just got to stay positive and keep doing what you love, and music is what I love. And I just, you know, if I can help anybody get through the tough time, it's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm sure, you know, there's listeners listen to us right now, and there's always that one person who is saying, this is what I want to do for a living. This is who I want to be. What advice would you give that person if they wanted to come into the music industry?
I would say know what kind of artist you want to be and just don't give up on yourself. Believe you can do it. It sounds easier said than done, but honestly, if you know what kind of artist you want to be, whether you want to combine genres or make your own thing or do whatever, just stick to who you are and know who you are, and people are gonna say no to you. People are gonna shut the door in your face, but that's okay. As long as you know who you are and you just keep going and never give up on yourself, you'll succeed.
There you go. Couldn't have said that better myself. So, Kristen, where can everybody follow you, find your music, purchase it, the whole 9 yards? Give us that information.
Well, my website is kristenkarma.com. I'm on Spotify, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, Spotify, everything. You just look at my name, you'll find it. And it's me who operates all my social media. So if you're going to say hi, I'll say hi back. I'd love to hear from my fans and enjoy the music.
All righty. Well, you've all heard it live. I have this wonderful, beautiful young lady, Kristen Karma. You have been a special guest tonight, and I've enjoyed talking to you. And as I was saying earlier, that we're going to play some of your music here at the end of the show. So I'm real excited about people hearing the song Dear John. We're going to get a sample of that this evening. But, do you have any last words that you would like to share with my listeners this evening?
Yeah, just we're all going through a rough time right now with the pandemic, but stick in there and listen to some good music, and you will get through this no problem.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show with me this evening and spending time. It has been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And for everyone else, as you know, we're here every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can hear this show on many different platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify are some of my top ones, and as well as Apple Podcasts. So please tune in every Thursday evening. And like I said, we also do have a new mobile app that you can download on Google Play. Your Resource for Success podcast is the name of it. If you've forgotten the name of the show, which you shouldn't, but if you have, that is the name. And then, of course, if you would like to follow us on the website, you want to go to www.wsbillc.com, and you can learn everything about what WSBIC does, as well as follow us for the podcast show. If you have any interest, as well as wanting to be a guest on the show, that's one way you can reach me. If you are also interested in possibly becoming an author like I am, we do train you how to write that book. And if you want to start a podcast, we'll train you how to do that as well. But until next time, you all enjoy your evening, and good night.
Dear John, are you doing well? Are you happy with your farewell? Can you hear me falling down to pray? I think about you every single